On this episode of This is Game Boy, Earth, Fire, Wind, Water, Heart, by your powers combined, I am swamped. Wait, I might be confusing this with another environmentalist thing. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another brand new episode of This is Game Boy. A full episode, not a lighting. We're back on track with actually bringing you full episodes once a month and then a light once a month.
Weird.
Yeah, it was a little bit weird before the start of the new year, but we're back on track, so that is cool. And yeah, today we're gonna bring you instant gratification. Like always, I'm Moelle. Hello, everybody. And with me today, of course, is Baltic.
Hello.
Yeah, there we go. So both of us together again. Um, the, the last time was, oh God, that episode, the Maru's Mission
Oh,
episode.
that was Maru's mission the last time we were
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Oh my God, did we have fun with that one?
As you do.
As you do when recording these episodes. No, that was probably both our favorite episode we've ever recorded.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. We were, at least I was a little bit in a weird mood at that point, so
I just played off of it. It was
yeah,
good.
yeah. I was just trying to cheer myself up or something like that, and then I started doing very silly things, but it worked out really great and should keep that up. So I should get depressed before I start recording this episode, just to make the most out of it. No, I'm not
It's
gonna do
definitely how podcasts should work.
Yeah, that's how you do podcasts. You just get really depressed and then you record them to cheer yourself up. No, let's definitely not do that. I don't want that at all. But yeah, since the start of the new year, and since the holidays are gone and things like that, there has been a little bit more time for playing video games and things like that. But yeah, let's start off with what you have been up to the past, well, I guess 3 weeks
Month.
since we recorded or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I just got the year walk ending world record last night. So I have officially grand slammed year walk, where I have the world record in all categories of that game now. So that's cool. That's cool.
That's a lot of records.
I had 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, more than I got this month. So yeah.
Yeah. The box ending. The box ending run is about a minute and 20 seconds. The old record was a minute 22, and the new record now is a minute 21 by me. So snuck it right in there. And then the year walk ending category is about 13 minutes or so, 13 and a half minutes. And old record was 13:05 by a Swedish runner, and I got a 13:03 last night. So
Nice.
so we've grand slammed year walk. I may return to it. I'm probably gonna submit to SGDQ because it is a cool game. But
Okay.
I played Swamp Thing last night. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto RP, just a lot of GTA 5 RP. It's kind of like my kickback chill game and stream. Just go in, play as Buck, who's a trailer park mechanic, get kidnapped by old people. You know, the whole spiel.
Okay.
And then I'll be starting Assassin's Creed Rogue here shortly. So I got the HD remake of Assassin's Creed Rogue for PS4. So I'll be diving into that probably within the next couple weeks. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. What about you?
Well, I've been, of course, diving back into portable pleasure from the start of the year because I kept it a little bit in on the side at the end of the year for sure. Like I played enough Game Boy games last year. I like kept together a list of all the games I've played through 2019, which were I totally forgot like 130 games, and like 60 of them were Game Boy, of course. A lot less than the year before because that year I decided to do all the games again, which I lost the videos for. So that was like 99 games that I had to redo as well, plus then all the new games. So yeah, took it a little bit more slower for sure in 2019. But I started it back up again. I think I just picked the first game to get back into things, or I might be wrong. I actually don't remember. But I played Mickey Mouse Magic once, which is
I
kind
like
of
that
like a
game.
puzzle platformer, I would say. I really enjoyed it up until the very last world, where you've unlocked all your abilities basically, and like in the previous worlds, they are all based around the new ability you unlock, and they're like very short puzzles, very short stages. But then in that last world, they uh, mixed them all up, and the levels got a little bit too long to enjoy them properly. But like it was still only like a 2 hour game or something like that, so it's not that long or anything. But yeah, it got a little dragged out near the end for whatever reason, just to lengthen the game, I assume. But it's a fun game. Like you can kind of compare it maybe to like Solomon's Key or Solomon's Club for Game Boy, but like on a very basic level and very easy to figure out. Also, dying in that game is something that almost never happens. So yeah, I
Yeah.
can definitely recommend it for people who want a little quote unquote puzzle game to get through. Um, but yeah, then the the choices of the people in the raffles came along, and it has not been a great year so far for me when it comes to that. So I think we talked about this last time. Like you picked Duck
Duck
Game or
game.
Duck Adventure. Duck Game is
Duck
that Steam
Duck
game.
Adventure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Duck
yeah, yeah,
Adventure,
yeah.
that soccer game that I can't figure out. And then there was Populous, which is literally also impossible to play unless you have a manual, which we can't find. So if anybody listening to this has the manual and would like to like scan it or something like that, or even sell it to me,
Donate it to me.
yeah, just please do so I can figure out how to play that game because yeah, it's impossible. It's all symbols and the screen says nothing and it doesn't even say what you have to do. So I have no idea what I'm supposed to do in that game. So I just
The
dropped it.
Super Nintendo game is fun.
No version of Populous is fun. Nobody ever found that game fun. But yeah, that so I passed on that, and then somebody picked the Hunchback of the Notre Dame.
I was so happy when someone picked this game for you.
Yeah, thank
Oh,
you very much, Night Misty, for picking that game.
it's
Um,
such a good game.
no, it is not. I think it has like a subtitle called Topsy Turvy Games or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
Yeah, but it's basically a mini game collection. There's 5 mini games. There's pretty much Breakouts, which is called Chisel there. Balloon
Which is the
Fight.
game.
Yeah, yeah is the biggest
let's
part
just
of the
be
game.
let's just be upfront. Like when Mo says mini game collection, he just means breakout. With sometimes you get to play some side games.
Yeah, I'll explain that for sure. Yeah, there's like a balloon fight game, kinda. There's bowling with a goat. There is a slide puzzle, and then there's like that old Game and Watch game where they jump out of the building and you have to like put them in the ambulance, like kind of a variation on that.
Fool's
Um,
Fall or whatever it's called. Yeah.
yeah. So the way this game works is that each of those mini games kind of have a hidden challenge to them. When you reach a certain point in that game and you game over or whatever, or you beat it, you get a ticket that you can use for the fun fair. So the manual actually says your goal is to get all 5 tickets for the fun fair, and then you can play that. Okay, so I thought, yeah, that is my goal. I need to do that. So for Chisel, I actually started playing Chisel, which contains 100 levels in total. But you only have to beat stage 25, I think, before you get the ticket for that. But the way Chisel works is you do have to kind of play each stage, but you can also find a wheel hidden somewhere in the blocks. If you take that, you are taken to like a spinning wheel, which chooses one random game out of all those 5 games, and it gives you a challenge to do. If you beat that challenge, you actually skip a few levels. So um, technically, you don't have to play all 100 levels, and you don't have to do that anyways because you already got the ticket after 25. For the full thing, you have to beat stage 33, I believe, out of 50, which is it should be easy, but the problem is that it's very RNG heavy. If they don't drop clocks, you cannot extend your timer, and well, then you can't win. Like if they just don't drop one, you just can't win. So it took me a few tries to get through that. Um, the bowling is very easy. I think you need 120 or 150 points. Like that, that's like literally nothing because it's like a 15 frame bowling game, so
Yeah,
plenty of.
it's like 6 pins and like 15 frames. Like
Yeah,
if you
so
can't get
it's
a
very easy to
yeah.
get that. Like you literally always have to do the same thing. You get strike after strike after strike. The balloon fight is also very easy, but it's very boring and very slow. But it's you have to beat 5 opponents in a row, I believe. And then you get a ticket for that. And then the hardest one, in my opinion, is the slide puzzle game. Not because the slide puzzle game itself is really hard, because you can play it on easy difficulty. I played everything on easy difficulty, by the way, because you can also do normal and hard. But easy difficulty gives you a 3 by 3 puzzle, sliding puzzle, which is very easy to beat. The only problem is that and I don't remember the exact time, but I think you have to beat it under 20 seconds to get the ticket, which is crazy. Like, it took me 45 minutes or something doing the same puzzle over and over again, trying to get a good RNG so that I didn't have to do too many moves to actually solve it. And yeah, it wasn't fun. But yeah, I finally got those 5 tickets. Me happy, of course. So you have to put them in the fun fair, which takes you to that spinny wheel again, which gives you a random game with a random challenge you have to do. And beating that does absolutely nothing. Like, there's no point to it. There's no credits. There's
Yeah.
no, like, it gives you nothing. You can just play it forever with random challenges. Not even those different tickets do anything different, because it's always just random. So yeah, I don't understand. Maybe I'm missing something, but I think I beat the game.
I don't know. Like you all talked a lot of smack to me like when I played the game. It's just like I beat all the mini games. I got my tickets.
Yeah.
There was no reason for me to continue.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
done. You know. And I was like, well, Mo got the tickets to use them. I'm like, cool. And did he get credits? No. Well,
Nope.
then there you go. Like so,
Yeah.
I beat the game too.
Yeah.
Like I'm not ever gonna go back to it. It's gonna
Yeah.
sit in the bottom of my box for the rest of its life.
Yeah. Nobody should ever play this game. I put almost 5 hours into it.
What?
Yeah, it was almost
Oh
5 hours, and
God.
then I was like, nope, it's done. There's nothing more to this game. I really
I
hope there's nothing more to this game, that I
I put
never
like
have
an
to return
hour
to
and a
it.
half into it.
Yeah, no, it was horrible. It was just horrible.
It's not
What a
fun.
waste of
The
time.
the funnest game is Dolly's Bowling, which is the goat's name if you've never
Yeah,
watched Hunchback of Notre Dame. The bowling and the Fool's Fall or whatever that game is called, the Game and Watch game. Those are the two best games
yeah,
in the actual game.
absolutely. But you can just play those games and have a better
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Right. After that or before that, Lex actually picked Dragonheart for me, which isn't bad at all. It's just a very weird game. Um,
Game Boy Skyrim.
yeah, well, very very light on the Skyrim, but it's like you're moving in a first person view across a map, and you have to find certain people to talk to, and then you get an item, and you have to go to the next person, and blah blah blah, and then you go fight a dragon, and it just repeats like that. Sometimes you fight soldiers and things like that. I think it has 8 levels, quote unquote, or 8 missions. It was fun, but like, first of all, I have never seen the movie, and or will I ever? Um, so I didn't really understand what was going on, because there was a lot of like probably jokes from the movie that I didn't like pick up on. But yeah, I would say check that game out if you enjoy it. It might be a fun 2 hour game or something, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I've watched like speedrun Dragonheart a lot,
yeah.
and the game, like, it looks fun. Like, I've seen the movie, but it looks fun. My problem is, like, when I go to play it casually, I'm probably gonna get bored because it
Mhm.
looks very repetitive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
So
that's the issue. It's not a very interesting game, but it is different than most Game Boy games, so that's definitely worth checking out.
yeah,
And yeah, maybe do the speed run if you really like doing that. So, yeah. But we will probably never do an episode on it, but I'm still waiting for Lex and Petra to actually just
yeah,
do an episode on it. So yeah, and we have a break, so that would be nice.
that would be glorious.
Yeah. And after that, Qbert got picked. I have never in my life played Qbert before this. I know what Qbert is. Yeah, it's just an arcade game. I'm really not into arcade games. I said that a million times before. Like, they get super boring quickly for me. So I usually just go for high score and leave it as is. Qbert, however, does have an ending. Like, it has 16 worlds, each with 4 stages. So yeah, 16, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've managed to get to World 16 so far, but I've been stuck on that for like almost an hour. It's the final world, so of course it's the hardest world. But it gets a little bit too ridiculous. I think the game wants you to have a lot more extra lives to actually get through it, which I don't have. Luckily, this version offers infinite continues, but you start with 4 lives, and the enemy spawning in this last world is just so ridiculous that I can't get around it. I'm just not that good of a Qbert player to get around those things. I know I'll eventually make it, but it might still take me a few hours. So that's kind of sad because I don't want to play it anymore. I'm so sick of it.
My favorite part of your Qbert adventure so far has been your Twitter. May attract trucker mouth.
Yeah, so let me explain that for for the people. The first time I posted, yeah, I always post before I start streaming on Twitter, like I'm going live, I'm playing this, and then I do like a random GIF that either ties into the game or is just like completely random. So the first time I did that, I got like 2 people liked the tweet, not even people who were following me. One was a game developer from somewhere, I don't know what game he's making, and the other was like, how do you call them again? Like, Trump women, or
Yeah, Trump supporter.
yeah, like yeah, one
Yeah,
of those women that supports Trump. And oh my god, I don't know if I can still find it, but I have to find this.
it might be in Discord
Right, it is pro.
in
Yeah,
the
but that's gonna
monochrome
be
city.
way up. That's the problem. But maybe I still have like the. And I'm not gonna say her name because I don't want people to like actually go out and I think this is it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Trump loving women. That's our hashtags in our profile. So Trump loving women. I am Q, MAGA, Make America Great Again, of course. Most exceptional president ever. Uh, P.S. May have a trucker mind. Hashtag
Hashtag.
for dates skip me. Like, I have no idea why that lady liked my tweet. Maybe Qbert is some kind of slang in the Trump loving women thing or whatever.
I don't know.
But yeah,
But
I was like, what is this? Like you get sometimes you get like random people liking your tweet, but this was just so out there. So out there.
it was so funny. And that's why we have a Qbert emote in the
No,
Discord now.
Discord, yeah. May have a trucker mount got me real good, so that was
Yeah,
yeah.
that was
No.
comical.
Okay, but yeah, that's been my Game Boy experience in January, which hasn't been great so far. But hey, I'm getting those games out of the way, so that's always good. Besides Game Boy, I've played after I totally forgot this came out. The Messenger DLC. I don't remember what it's called. It's on that weird island. I loved it. It was really cool. You had some fun, like quote unquote mini games in there, and the final boss. I'm not gonna spoil it for people who haven't played it. Yeah, was super fun to do.
I have yet to play the Messenger. I own it.
Yeah,
I have yet to
I
play it.
highly recommend that game. I talked about it when I actually played the original, and yeah, now I've played the DLC, which is free by the way. And if I can understand what is happening, there should be more free DLC in the future. So that's
Nice.
nice. But yeah, I absolutely recommend the Messenger. It's Ninja Gaiden playstyle, but with more like abilities, and it's just really, really funnily written. So it's a very funny game. So that's great. It plays fantastic. Besides the Messenger DLC, I needed a cube break from Qbert, so I just put in Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, because I love Mega Man. Everybody knows that. I just played through Mega Man 7, 8, 9, and 10 real quick. Yeah, in 3 days, I guess. So that was fun to do. Yesterday, I went back to a freight train because it has been a while since I actually did my other streaming thing, which is where I play the horror games, and I started Alice Madness Returns on PS3.
It looks like a cool game.
Yeah, like the cutscene artwork is amazing because it resembles the drawings from the original book, which I really love. It's one of my favorite books. The gameplay is all right. It's like a 3D adventure game, I would say. Like,
The gameplay reminded me of Darksiders.
yeah, maybe a little
Little bit
bit.
of
Yeah.
Darksiders, yeah.
But yeah, it's like just a 3D platformer, I would say, like collectathon a little bit. Like nothing is really hidden or anything like that. Of course, it's a dark take on the Alice story, and the combat is okay. Like don't think think like Devil May Cry or things like that. Even though it's kind of similar, like you have a gun and you have your sword. It's not that well made as those games. It would work perfectly fine on the easier difficulties. I'm sure of it, but like I'm an idiot and I need to complete things. So I looked up the trophy list and it was like, oh yeah, you have to beat this on nightmare mode. And I was like, sure, I'll beat it on
Oh, you
nightmare mode.
do? Okay.
And then I got stuck for half an hour on one fight against three guys.
Dude.
So yeah, maybe not do not play it on nightmare mode. But yeah, besides
The,
that, it's pretty cool so
the
far. I'm
fact that
only
they
on
did like
chapter 1.
half of your health bar in one hit, I was like, oh, alright, cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's like 2 hits and you're just dead. So so that's a thing. Yeah. But I would definitely recommend checking this out. Maybe not the PS3 version because it's yeah, like most PS3 versions a little bit more wonky. You can easily get it on Steam as well. So for people who like
I
playing on PC.
heads up on playing it on PC though, since it is an older game, there
Mhm.
is no windowed mode. So you'll either need to have that Steam program that puts games into borderless windowed, or you'll have to use some sort of other program to put the game into windowed mode for you. But the game is so old that it doesn't offer that option at all. So when you play Alice, like it's going to be full screen right off the get go. And if you all tab, there's a high likelihood of it crashing. I've been wanting to play Alice Madness Returns for a long time, and I own it on Steam, and I haven't been able to play it because I can't get it to run right on my computer.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons I don't like playing on PC. Like, it always takes me forever to figure out how to even start a damn game. So I rather play the lesser well-made, well, not well-made, but the lesser graphical impressive one. Maybe not runs as fast as the PC one, but at least I just plug in the game and I can play it. So
it still looks gorgeous on the PS3 though.
it's fine, yeah. It has some issues with like, and I always forget what it's called. Like the entire graphic hasn't loaded yet, so it takes like 5 more seconds before all the
All the
details
shaders.
pop out and things like that. So, but that's really normal for PS3 ports. Like
Yeah.
PS3 was not good with that at all. But I really don't care. Like as long as the game plays, it's fine.
Yep, I'm the same way.
Yeah. So, and then today, because we were actually talking about this yesterday when I was streaming, um, I don't know how Tomb Raider came up. Oh yeah, because I because I was like I'm looking for secrets and the one of the people in chat said like, oh no, you don't have to like look that thoroughly for anything. It's not that well hidden. So I said like, oh yeah, but I grew up with Tomb Raider, so I'm really used to like searching every
Yeah.
corner. And you said, oh yeah, the newer ones. I still haven't played them yet. Um,
Yeah, I enjoyed the newer ones. I do not like the old PS1 ones at
Oh, you
all.
do? Okay, yeah. So,
Uh,
just because I was bored today, I started Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. So the Square Enix one, the new version, which I've
I
played before, but
You'll get to a segment of the game where you'll want to die purposely all the time because it's hilarious.
yeah, I remember. Yeah, the deaths in those games are exceptionally brutal for people who haven't played that before. But yeah, I have played this version on PS3 before, but I think it was like free with PS Plus back then or something. So I got all three PS4 versions, so including the latest one, all for like $10 because you can
Yeah,
find
they're
them pretty
cheap
cheap.
now.
Yeah, even the latest one, which didn't come out that long ago, is already super cheap. Um, so yeah, playing through that right now, trying to do everything. Problem is, I will not get a platinum trophy in this because it has a nice multiplayer mode. What everybody expects from Tomb Raider. But yeah, getting like 100% in the single player mode will take 8 hours. If you want the platinum trophy, you're gonna spend another 30 hours just playing multiplayer. So yeah, that can
I
definitely go to hell.
I I don't understand trophies like that at all. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, you have to go online now and do some things. So go pay more money to have PS Plus or whatever it's called,
Yeah, especially on
and
PS3, 4, yeah.
then like go onto a server. But like if you're like me and I sometimes don't buy games right off the get go. Like I'm okay. 4 years later, I'm gonna go check out this game online. Oh, the online servers are offline now, like in Guitar Hero, or oh, there's literally no one online now, so like, I can't do these trophies anymore. Just don't include them into the goddamn trophy
Yeah,
list.
they,
Just
they
don't.
should they should remove them completely. Like, yeah, for people like me, it's just hurts that like I don't want to spend 30 hours on a multiplayer game at all. Like, I don't
Right.
care. Just
Not Tomb Raider. Assassin's Creed did the same thing. Like when the first Assassin's Creed came out on PS4 or whatever it was. I think it was not Unity, but the one after that, Syndicate. They did a multiplayer trophy, and I was just like, "What gives? No one in their right mind that plays Assassin's Creed is going to want to go online and play Assassin's Creed multiplayer. Assassin's Creed is a single-player experience. Just leave it at that, please.
Yep, it all came from a time where everything had to include multiplayer. It started with Uncharted 2, actually. That was the first one that did it, and did it well, to be honest. Like, it was actually really fun. I played it for, like, a few hours. And with few, I mean, like, max of 4 hours. But it was actually fun. There were trophies tied to that, but the only ones were, like, play this thing, play that thing, and bam, you're done. But not like, oh, you have to level up your character to your max level, do 7 million kills. Don't do that. Like, nobody has the freaking time for that unless it's an actual multiplayer game, like Call of Duty or so. Well, those also.
Well, it's not even so much that people have time for it. It's just people don't want to do that because those games were never meant for multiplayer.
And that's
period.
But yeah, that was the period when everything started to have multiplayer. God of War got multiplayer. Tomb Raider got multiplayer. Like I still have the multiplayer for God of War is in Ascension, which is the fourth one of the original series, which almost nobody liked. That got multiplayer. Nope. I recently bought that actually. It's still on PS3 only. The servers are still online. All you have to do for your multiplayer trophies in that one is log in. That's all. And you have it. So
perfect.
Yeah, that's
just keep it at that.
But yeah, and I think choose a faction or whatever. But that's more than enough. But yeah, whenever those servers are gonna go down, because who the hell is playing God of War multiplayer? Nobody. So yeah, it's just gonna be lost again. Like, you can never get the platinum trophy anymore. And that's just dumb.
Yeah, like I had this experience with Guitar Hero PS4, which came out 2 years ago ish, and most of the trophies are meant for online play, not exclusive multiplayer, but online. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go platinum Guitar Hero because like I'm good at Guitar Hero. And I was like, I'm gonna go platinum it. I'm gonna go spend a few hours and just go platinum the game. Put it in, updated it, went to go log into the servers are offline. Activision has taken down the Guitar Hero servers. Yeah. After 2 years. Yeah. So, and I'm like, well, I guess I ain't platinum in this game, so away to the shelf it went. Yeah. So
it's just horrible when they do that. They shouldn't. They should finally.
They shouldn't. I'm okay with it being like, hey, log into the online server or something like that. I'm actually okay with those types of trophies because those are leading you into another part of the game that you could explore on your own. But when they're like, hey, you have to reach level 20 in this online co-op multiplayer nonsense like Metal Gear Survive does, it's like, absolutely not. I am not going to do that. Yeah.
Most people think that way, but yeah, they just keep doing it anyway. So, yeah. Oh well. Moving on from that, because we always get mad whenever that comes up. We're gonna dive into the actual game we're gonna talk about, which you mentioned a little bit before, and maybe people picked up from seeing the title, because that's what titles do. They give away what we are talking about.
Spoiler alerts in the title.
So we'll be talking about Swamp Thing for Game Boy right after this break.
Really needs you. Arcane is bad for sure. Come on, fight for right.
So good. All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed Swamp Thing theme song. There, it's a very unique song. Never heard before ever.
Instant classic.
Instant classic, one would call it. So yeah, overview of Swamp Thing is a superhero from the DC Comics created by Len Wayne. I don't know DC people.
Well, for me, I would say Van. Uh, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and Bernie Wrightston. The character is a swamp monster that resembles an anthropomorphic. Could you put a more crazy word into the notes?
Anthropomorphic, come on.
Yep, mound of vegetable matter,
Yeah.
and fights to protect his swamp home and the environment in general. Humanity from various supernatural or terrorist threats, aka the Unmen, I believe they're called.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvel has something called Man-Thing, which is very similar.
Yeah, and I think both of these characters. Well, I think Man-Thing came after Swamp Thing for sure. But I think
I believe it did,
yeah,
yeah.
but I think Swamp Thing is also basically based on the creature from the Black Lagoon, like
Yep.
the Universal picture. So if you've seen any swamp monster, you basically know what Swamp Thing looks like or what Man Thing looks like. They're literally the
Yeah.
same thing. So
So like basically with like the DC and Marvel comics. So like if you don't know comics, DC and Marvel kind of like are they're rivals. So when the creature from the Black Lagoon, which is a Universal horror movie, came to be, DC took the opportunity to create Swamp Thing, which encourages recycling and cleaning the environment, which started becoming more of a thing during probably what the 80s, I'd say. And then Marvel to try and capture the same audience made Man-Thing. So
mhm.
as you can tell, Man-Thing really never took off because there's no movies or games based off of him that I know of.
I think there's a movie of Man Thing. Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, I think
Is there?
there's
Okay.
one movie of Man Thing.
Oh, that's too bad.
Swamp Thing has 2 or 3 movies actually, based upon.
2,
He's
I
definitely the
believe,
most
yeah.
popular. He's actually the 25th most popular superhero in all comics. So, which
Really?
was really surprising. But it also kind of makes sense because, like, I've known him for all my life, even though I've never read a single comic or never seen the cartoon show or never seen the movies. But I did know he existed.
The cartoon was so good.
Yeah, wasn't it 5 episodes you said or something?
Something like
Yeah.
that, yeah. I couldn't remember what I said before. Yeah, it
Hmm.
was like 5 episodes.
Yeah, like the
So
last
good.
time I saw Swamp Thing was actually a few months ago when I watched one of the newer DC animated movies, the Harley Quinn one, which was about Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and then suddenly at the end it turned into an environmental thing, and Swamp Thing showed up and saved the day, and then just went away, and I
What?
was like, what just happened here? This was the
It's
weirdest
weird.
thing ever. Like, yeah, that was weird, but
I've never watched the DC animated movies yet, but
they
I
are
have
great.
read the Swamp Thing comics though,
Okay.
so I own a few of them,
Hmm.
as a
Yeah.
matter of fact.
There's
But
been very like 6 or 7 iterations already of Swamp Thing so far.
yeah,
So it is a pretty popular character, even though
it's
yeah,
yeah,
it just deals with the
uh,
environmental stuff. But yeah,
yeah. Game came out in 1992, October.
only in the
Um,
U.S.
only in the United States because the United States is the only country that cares about climate control. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Top leaders when it comes to environmental control. Uh, yeah. Yeah.
developed by Equilibrium,
Hmm.
which made us such hits as Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Bo Jackson, 2 games in 1. If you don't know who Bo Jackson is, he was a famous football player and baseball player. The Flash. So
Yeah,
yeah.
another DC staple. Mm. Yeah, no, I talked about this game, I think, last time, but oh my god, no.
And then Riddick Bowe Boxing. If you don't know who Riddick Bowe is, he's a very popular boxer in the early 90s. Many games revolved around him. And it was published by our boys from THQ,
Yeah.
who is now THQ Nordic, and makes such blockbuster hits as Darksiders 3. So
Yeah, I don't know how well that game went, actually.
I don't know either. It looked kind of fun. I don't know. I like the Darksider games. Like, I like the story. I like the concept. I love the idea of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Always been interested in those stories. The gameplay just bores me because it's just a hack and slash. It's just,
Yeah, I maybe I talked about this before, but I love the first one because it's very Zelda-like. I absolutely hate the second one because it was an open world game. Like, I bought it when it came out and I played it for an hour and I put it down and I never touched it
See,
again.
I enjoyed the second one more than the first
Yeah.
one because I got to play as Death.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played the third one. I haven't played as Pestilence yet at all, which
Yeah.
I do want to play eventually. But
Yeah, maybe one day I'll do. Like, I do have the upgraded version of PS4 on PS Plus, Darksiders
yeah,
2
the Death
Definitive
Edition or whatever. Yeah.
Maybe I'll try it out sometime. But yeah, I really didn't enjoy it when it first came out. But yeah, maybe my opinion has changed now.
And then composer Ed Bogas. Bogas?
Bogas? No, Bogas. I would say,
Bogas. He's probably more famously known for his composing of the Charlie Brown movies and the Garfield movies, the cartoons,
The
rather.
cartoon, yeah.
But he also gave us such fantastic hits that for Swamp Thing, as you'll hear later on this episode, and Cheetah Men 2. Yeah. You all remember Cheetah Men 2 and Action 52. He was uncredited for Action 52, which was really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Very good songs in that whole collaboration of games that don't work at all. So,
Yeah, his career for cartoons is very good. His career for games, not
touch
great.
and go.
Not great.
He did Super Tetris, I believe I read somewhere as well
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
So he has some redeeming factors to him, but
Yeah, but
Yeah.
definitely not this game. Sorry,
Definitely not
Ed.
this game. Sorry, Ed, if you're listening.
Yeah, if you're proud of your soundtrack for this game, yeah, you might be the only person.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he apparently did Tetris of some sort.
Oh,
so
God, yeah.
maybe that's his redeeming factor. But yeah, plot.
Yeah, that's my turn.
That's your take
like
there.
always. I have no idea where I got this from actually, but I'll I'll go through it anyways. Part man, part monster, defender of the earth. Dr. Alec Holland, once a brilliant biochemist, has been transformed into the gigantic creature known as Swamp Thing. His biorestorative formula saved him from the explosion that leveled his Bayou research lab. Only now, his arch nemesis, Dr. Anton Arcane, wants to capture him to unlock the secrets of the Green Guardian. Join Swamp Thing on his mission to stop the powerful forces of Arcane from conquering the world. Dodge mechanical beasts and deadly traps as you make your way to the hidden lairs of the Unmen. Battle these genetically altered henchmen of Dr. Anton Arcane in a non-stop fighting frenzy. Can you stop Arcane from discovering the lost biorestorative formula before it's too late?
I'm looking at comic books right now for the Swamp Thing. Apparently, there's one that came out in 2015.
That's it's still.
Oh, there's a new one coming out called Swamp Thing: Roots of Terror.
Yeah, and I think there's a new movie
Hell
coming
yeah.
out as well.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So it's a popular.
I will say the Len Wayne comics, the OGs from the 70s, are probably the coolest looking covers out of them all, though. like it's like a graphic novel take, and it's like a horror drawing. Like, they're actually really good.
Yeah, that's probably why it got so popular in the first place. Like, it was really, really well done.
Yeah, kudos to that one for sure. Nice job. Nice job, Glenn, if you're still around and listening. But let me get back on our notes here. Gameplay.
Gameplay is something.
It's a game.
Yeah.
So when you first launch Swamp Thing, you're presented a press enter or a press start screen. You don't have any other options at all. There's no easy, normal, hard. There's no levels. There's no password system or anything of the sort. Your first screen is going to be Swamp Thing's dumb face staring at you. And if you're playing on the Game Boy, it'll be green, so it'll probably actually look really cool. But if you're playing on the Super Game Boy, it's going to be like a reddish tone, and it's going to look like he's rusted. When you press start, you go through basically just a script cutscene where you get to read about what's his face, Dr. Arcane, and how he's trying to lure Swamp Thing out of the swamp and sending out his oodmen and littering and all the things that bad people do. So you get 3 choices right off the get-go. You get and the way you get to choose is there's a D-pad in the middle of the screen, and you can choose left, up, or right, depending on what level you want to choose from. It automatically chooses desert, which is the left one. I don't know if it's because it's left or whatnot, but it is by far the easiest stage out of the 3 that you can choose from. And the desert is pretty much a straightforward hold right and jump. You don't want to walk in Swamp Thing. Jumping is faster. Yeah. It's a hold right and jump basically to the end of the screen, and then you'll pretty much enter a pyramid. And you'll go into a pyramid, do some choice platforming, let's just say.
Yeah.
The amount of curse words that I had for this game when I got to that screen was amazing. So, like, with video games, like, I can adjust to bad video games really quickly. And Swamp Thing is just, like, that screen is just that, like, you're just, like, your skill in bad video game maneuvering just starts to increase over time. So you learn how to just maneuver really bad platforming like a god. So, oh god, what a game. And then once you get past some choice platforming, you can go into a maze, which is, by the way, the longest maze known to man, because I actually had to write it down. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 different squares that you have to maneuver through. And if you get it wrong, you're gonna die, because we haven't talked about that mechanic yet.
No, I'll definitely dive into that one soon.
And then once you get out of the maze, you go and fight the boss, which I forgot who the first Oodman you fight is, but he's pretty simple. You pretty much bring him down to the first floor, shoot him, duck, he jumps over you, shoot him again, duck, etc. So rinse and repeat. Pretty basic pattern.
Yeah.
After you've defeated him, you get a cutscene, a script cutscene again, telling you that Swamp Thing has now earned the bark skin. Yeah. Skin, I guess, armor, which is completely, utterly useless. So then from there you get to choose either up, which is the jungle, or right, which is Arctic. I personally went forest next because clockwise, I don't know. Forest is kind of an interesting level. You kind of have to jump between tree canopies, otherwise you'll like end up in like the forest foliage that has like breakaway platforms and such. It's not a hard level, but it is kind of difficult to maneuver through if you don't know it, because the first time you go through it, you're going to get lost a little bit.
Yeah.
and you're probably going to die just from getting hit by things. But the first section of the level, you basically just jump from tree canopy to tree canopy and jump on the world's smallest leaves as they fall from the tree to get across the screen. When you get to the second screen, you can kind of do something similar, but you kind of want to go to the bottom to get some extra lives, because you definitely need some extra lives in this game. And you go down into the forest foliage. And so the first thing you'll notice is that in the forest foliage, you can like jump through platforms. Like there's no like detection box at all on the ground in the foliage sections. You can jump through the floor. So and you have to be careful of the beetles. The beetles just the beetles have it out against Swamp Thing. Like they want to kill Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing apparently did something to a beetle family a long time ago, and they want him dead. So once you get out of the foliage, again, another hold right and jump, and then you enter the boss fight. And the forest boss fight is just absolutely insane. And I don't mean insane in a good way. It's hard. There's like these bushes on the ground that if you shoot, your shot just gets eaten by the bush and it doesn't hurt the boss at all. The boss shoots a projectile that goes literally across the screen and beyond. And the boss just doesn't want to do anything at all. If you get the boss in the corner, you can stun lock it, but most of the times you're probably going to die 2 times fighting this idiot. Yeah, so, couldn't find out. There's no good pattern to fight this boss at all that I could find in the hour I spent playing the game.
Yeah.
Once you kill it, you go and you get I forgot what armor you get from Forest. It's camouflage maybe.
It's camouflage indeed. Yeah.
Is it camouflage? Okay. And then you only got one level left to choose from, so you get to go to the Arctic. And this is, in my opinion, the hardest stage of the game. There's no ice physics, which, thank God. But everything in the world does so much damage to you. And mind you, in between stages, your health meter doesn't refill. And your environmental meter, I don't believe, refills either, which Mo will talk about shortly. Yeah. So you go to the Arctic, and everything is out to kill you. There's a jug floating in the air that shoots fireballs. I don't know where that came from. There's some icicle things that fall from the sky. There's a seal that you need to punch in the back to make it spit out a sun. There's this blob man that wants to throw snowballs at you that does like a third of your health bar. And they can hit you from off screen too. I've gotten Kobe'd so many times in the game that it was just ridiculous. So again, there's a little bit of choice platforming because when you're moving right and jumping, you can actually outrun the screen. And this is a stage that you do not want to outrun the screen on because there are pits that you can fall in and die.
Yeah.
And like I said, you want to maintain as many lives as you can through this game.
Yeah. This is the only stage where there are actual pitfalls. So the other stages you cannot die by falling into them.
Yep. You can when you're falling. You can fall faster than the screen can scroll, but I never died from that, like in Donkey Kong. Yeah. So, it had that going for it, I guess. But, yeah, so you basically do some iceberg platforming a little bit. You go into the next screen, which is you're kind of outside with some breakaway ground. It's almost the same thing. It's just a lot of iceberg platforming again and just running to right. This third screen, though, is where kind of hell breaks loose. You have to go down the slope and then you have to down punch or down jump, whatever you want to call it. Punch these blocks over and to get onto a higher platform. All while like there's a blob throwing snowballs at you off screen that can hit you just miraculously. You can just nail 3-pointers like he's Tony Kukoc, and then Once you get over the first obstacle, you get to fight another blob man, whom I found out last night, if he ducks, he is invulnerable to getting hit by Swamp Thing. And I was irate when I found this out. So, if you duck a Swamp Thing and try to hit him, he will absorb the hit and not take damage. And I was mad. I was upset on stream that this was a thing.
I never
so
even
you
knew
have
that.
Yeah, so you have to wait for him to stand up and punch him, or not even punch him, throw a leaf at him so he'll take damage. You have to hit him 4 times. And each time you hit him, he crumbles and reappears. Oh, what a nightmare. Just nightmare enemy he is. And he does a lot of damage to you, mind you. Like, he does a chunk of your health bar. So once you kill him, you get to push the block again and collect the sun, which gives you some health. And then you have another jug that shoots fireballs out. Don't know where that one came from either. And then once you pass that, you get a plethora of power-ups, a bunch of life and a recycler power-up. And then you go fight the boss, which is the Bat.
Yeah.
Batman.
Batman, also from DC Comics.
And this boss is more troll than anything. You can stun lock it if your timing is fantastic, but this boss likes to just jump and fly around for no good reason. And if your RNG is bad, he will kill you without having to touch you. That's how good this game is. So I had a few instances of that where I couldn't catch him and do damage to him, and I just ended up dying because that's how the game works. If you manage to beat the first 3 stages of the game, you get to go into the final stage of the game, which is Dr. Arcane's lab, I believe it is.
Yeah.
I only know this stage because I watched Mo play it. I couldn't make it to Dr. Arcane's lab in my playthrough because the game gave me such a headache, which I'll touch base on in my thoughts. Again, a pretty basic run-of-the-mill stage, kind of a hold right. You'll hit a certain area where you have to go through these doors, and the doors that you need to go through are sometimes hidden underneath a trapped floor door, which you have to walk over for it to disappear. Once you've gone through all of the doors through the trapped floors, you'll end up in basically almost like a dungeon hallway furnace room type deal, where it's basically almost like a pachinko type thing where you hold right, fall down, hold left, fall down, hold right, fall down, hold left, fall down, hold right again, all the way to the end type deal. And then once you get to the end of that stage, you get to fight Dr. Arcane, who kind of jumps around a little bit, and he takes on various different forms as you fight him.
Yeah,
It's actually
another one of the earlier bosses. He turns into a rat, things like that.
A goat, yeah.
Yeah.
And then once you kill him, walk out the door, and it just says congratulations.
Well,
that's the game.
Yeah.
That's Swamp Thing right there.
That's the gift you get for saving the entire world of.
It's like
pollution.
at the end of Karate Kid. Like when you beat Karate Kid at NES, you just get Mr. Miyagi that just winks at you one time. You're just like, all right, sweet ending. Really glad I got to say a bunch of F words while playing this game for a wink. So.
Yeah, that's that pretty much sums up what you do in this game. And you might be thinking to yourself right now, that doesn't sound too bad. It just sounds like your run-of-the-mill platforming action game.
As it should have been.
Yeah, which is kind of correct. The only problem is that this game has so many mechanics tied to it, which you absolutely need to figure out before you can even play this game. This game, of course, it's an old game, offers no tutorials. All you youngsters out there with your 500 tutorials before you can even start a game, that is something you're not getting here. the only way to probably find out how to play this game is by checking the manual, which we do not have. There's like no copy available on the internet. There are a few available, I think, on eBay, but they cost like $50 to $80, which is a lot of money just for a manual. So, and this is going into my history with the game, which I have to talk to you about because otherwise I can't explain this. So, Zenic Reverie, somebody who used to do a Game Boy and Game Boy Color challenge, started this game and he was like, I have no idea what to do in this. I don't understand it. I can't get anywhere. I'm gonna leave it as is. A few weeks later, I picked it up and I started playing it, and I came across the same problem. Like, I got through the desert stage, I believe, and I couldn't do any of the other stages because I was totally out of lives. I did not understand what all the things were that I was picking up, how to use them. It didn't make any sense at all. It took me pretty much an entire day of research just to find out how to actually play this game, which is a lot. Like, I searched Google extensively until I finally came across some random guy who had made a walkthrough of this, which actually explained what the buttons in this game do. And I can hear yourself thinking, what do you mean? Like, there's only so many buttons on Game Boy. How hard can it be to actually figure out what it's doing? You are very wrong. Like, I'll explain everything I can as good as I can, but I do recommend watch my video, my portable pleasure video, where I actually start explaining the gameplay before I dive into the game. So the B button is quote unquote punch, right? So that makes sense. It's punch, sure.
Quote unquote.
Yeah. But it's not an actual punch. What you do is when you press B, you shoot some kind of beam out of you, which is probably like I don't want to say healing, but like restorative beam for things that got poisoned. Let's call it like that. But when you shoot that, your health bar goes down because you actually use your own life force to produce that beam. If you hit an enemy with it, some take one hit, some take two hits, some take even four hits, as you mentioned earlier. The beam goes away and you have lost your health. If you shoot it and you miss and you pick it back up again, because it's like a boomerang effect, you pick it back up again, it restores some of your health, but not all of it. So the first thing you have to really be careful about is your health. Um, the best thing to do in this game is actually do not fight anything, because all it does is you lose your health because you're attacking, and if they hit you, you lose even more health. So that's not really a way to go. That's why if you watch my video and probably a speedrun video, you see just jumping over enemies to avoid them, which is the best thing to do. There's another attack you have. You actually do have a punch, and you do that by pressing down and jump. No, you do not do it by pressing down and shoot. You do it by pressing down and jump. Makes sense, right? So, like, already it's starting to be very convoluted. So,
Quality video
yeah.
game.
So you do the punch. What does the punch do? Basically nothing, because you're not restoring any enemies. You might be able to kill them, but that doesn't help you at all. Throughout the level, there are ways to replenish your health. One of them is by picking up a water symbol that you find throughout the levels. You can just jump into it or walk over it. You collect it, restore some of your life, which is great. That's fantastic. Another pickup you can find is a recycling symbol. At the bottom of your hub, you can see how many recycling symbols you have, which is nice. And you want to use that because you're probably like, oh, that's an item I can use for something. And yeah, you can use it. The problem is, how do you actually use that? Uh, and this is the most important thing in this entire game, actually. What you have to do is you can use the recycling attack, as it's called, on trash cans you find throughout the level, on the enemies you find throughout the level, and things like that. And what it does is it gives you a lot of health back, which is very useful, of course, because otherwise you're going to run out of it. But there's also a second meter in the game called the environmental meter, which keeps on going down as further you go into the level. And that thing signifies how poisoned the world is where you're in. It's basically a timer. If the timer runs out, you're dead, and it goes down fast. Like it's you would think I have like 5 minutes or something to finish a stage. No, 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 no. It's more like 50 seconds or something like that. So you want to keep that environmental meter going as well. And the only way to do that is by using that recycling symbol on something so that it actually restores the environmental health. Um, but yeah, here comes the problem with this game. Like the deserts, like you said, it starts with a maze. If you're going there for the first time ever, you are not going to get anywhere and you're just going to die because you're going to run out of quote unquote time. So
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Like you just cannot do that. There are of course ways to replenish everything, but not that many to be perfectly honest. But you do have to know like now I have to use it so I can actually get my health and my environmental meter back up again, just so you can get through the stage. And honestly, the desert stage, even though it's maybe the easiest, is also the longest because of that maze. So you really do not want to lose your extra lives during this stage. I think there's maybe only even one extra life in that stage that you can eventually pick up. But yeah, I hear you asking, yeah, but how do you actually use the recycling thing? Well, as is common with all amazing games, you of course have to press select plus B together to use it,
As you do.
as you do in these types of games. Select plus B. If you're figuring out to control, select absolutely does nothing. Like you would think it would like cycle through some uh, some attacks or whatever. No, it does absolutely nothing. But it is select plus B to actually shoot your environmental beam, and that took forever to figure out. And I was so glad that I found that one person's random write up about this game, because the moment I figured that out, I was actually quote unquote able to beat the game. So I was really happy about that. Like Baltic said, defeating a boss gives you a quote unquote upgrade. You get bark skin, which protects you from certain attacks. That's actually what it says when you get that. Thing is, no idea which attack. Like everything
Yeah.
still does the same amount of damage. I don't know what it is, and not only should it protect you from certain attacks, but it doesn't. It also puts you dead in your tracks. You can't move when you use the park skin, so it's completely useless. The camouflage skin, again, completely useless because even if you are camouflaged, you're still gonna get hit by everything. So, what's even the point of having camouflage? And the third one you get is the thorn skin, and that one actually makes you immune
Thorn
to
skin.
poison for like 3 seconds, perhaps, as well, as long as you have it on. But the problem with the thorn skin is it does protect you, but you cannot attack during that. So again, what is the actual point of this thing? Um, of course, how do you change between all these different types of upgrades? You would think, maybe that select button could come in handy right now. Well, you would be
No.
wrong. What you have to do is pause the game by pressing start, and then you have to press down and up in the pause screen to change between those things. It is the most convoluted controller scheme that you have ever seen in your life. It's unbelievable. Like, I'm so glad I found out how to play it, but Was it worth it? No, but like no, it wasn't. But I'm just glad that I was able to shed some light on this game, and a lot of people have beaten it since then because they were able to see my video. But yeah, like you have to use everything in the stage that you can find, like those cans, just to keep your environmental health meter going. Make sure you do that, but don't use it on everything because there's no point to it. You just have to use it when it's absolutely necessary. Make sure to pick up all the I would say they look like the golden leaves from Link's Awakening. Those are extra lives for you, which you will definitely need, especially because during the second boss in the forest stage, the reason why he does so much damage to you is because he poisons you. Um, so it takes away your health, and yeah, you would say like, maybe I should use the skin to counter that, but it's completely useless. So yeah, you're probably gonna lose 2 or 3 lives just for that boss alone. But luckily in the forest stage you can pick up quite a few extra lives, so that's good. Like Baltic said, there's no refill of health between stages. Make sure you keep that in mind if you're playing this game. And then, of course, with all amazing games comes the thing that you have absolutely no continue. So, yeah, it's one time that you can go. I think 6 life is the max you can reach. Well, can collect.
Well, you get a free light. You get a 1-up at the end of the maze in the desert. You get a. Do you get a 1-up in the Arctic? I don't
I don't
remember.
think so. No,
I don't think so. You get 2 1-ups though in the forest
Yeah.
if you go into the foliage, and then you get a 1-up at the final boss,
Yeah.
Dr. Arcade. So
Yeah. The final boss is probably the easiest one. There's a lot of like every boss has a few pickups here and there that you can use to restore your health, especially useful with the second boss. But there's more than enough with the final fight, so you shouldn't die, and you should just go in there with like 2 or 3 lives, and then arcane isn't really that much of a problem. Um, it's not a hard boss or anything, so that should be
yeah.
perfectly fine.
Did you tell him that if you're too low on health that you can't shoot your projectile?
Right, yeah, because you indeed use your health to actually shoot. So if you're too low on health, you can't shoot anymore. So hopefully you have one of those recycling attacks that you can use on anything just to get your life back up and your environmental meter back up. When you go across the stages, there are enemies, but there are also things like, for example, in the desert stage, there are like cacti spread throughout the stage. If you shoot those with your beam or your environmental beam, um, they actually produce sunlight, which you can grab for extra health and things like that. But no environmental thing. Those you have to use on cans, like actual garbage, to get your meter back up like that.
Yeah. What a game.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely not a good game, but I think it's definitely one that everybody should check out, uh, just to know what it is. It's amazing how convoluted this game is if you don't have a manual to help you with it.
I haven't played the NES version yet. I kind of do want to play it just to see how it compares to the Game Boy.
It's completely
Um,
different. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah. This game is definitely one of those games you're just like, oh, Swamp Thing. I love Swamp Thing. Or one of those games is like, oh, there's nothing online. I'm gonna be the first person ever in the world to beat this game, and show the world how to play it. And it's like, then it's just like, I don't know how to play this game. There's a reason there's not a video of this in the world. So
Yeah, there was nothing to be found about this game, which made it extremely hard to figure it out. But I'm glad I did. Like, it was a nice experience to like really dive into the internet to find something. Uh, yeah, at least that's
yeah,
something I learned from it, how to look up some things.
sometimes that's twice the battle right there
Yeah.
too. But So that's the gameplay. So diving into, I guess, the cover art for the game. The cover art actually resembles that of the old comic
Yeah.
books. Because the cartoon came out in the 90s. I don't remember what year, but in the 90s. The comics came out starting in the 70s, mid to late 70s. The cover art is Swamp Thing walking in, well, a swamp, fists clenched, pretty muscular. Uh, Red sun behind him. Some sort of fog or smog or something kind of behind him as well too. Uh, Red eyes piercing right at you. It's actually a really nice cover art, honestly,
Mhm.
for the game, and it's very much depicted as the old comic book covers as well too. So it's a very well done box art.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it just resembles a comic. So there, when you look at that, you think like, oh, this game might actually be
Decent.
yeah decent at least. But sadly, it's anything but. Uh, you know.
But it got the official Nintendo seal of quality.
Yeah, a lot of things got that quality.
uh, Quality. Yeah. Um, General reception. I couldn't find any general reception for the Game Boy Swamp
No,
Thing. I found a bunch for the NES and whatnot, but I could not find a single one for the Game Boy. I would assume, I guess, the game for Game Boy is uncommon. Like I bought my cart for I think $15.
yeah, I got it
Um,
for 10, I believe. Yeah.
yeah, so like I feel like the cart might be slightly like the game itself might be slightly uncommon, but like you said, the manual is just. I went looking because I like having manuals. Like I scan them and I collect them and everything else to restore all this old retro stuff. And I went to go look for a manual Swamp Thing, and like the cheapest one I found was like $220. I'm just like, yeah, nope, I am not spending $220 for a Swamp Thing Game Boy manual. So
No, absolutely not. No. Yeah, like I guess everybody threw out their Swamp Thing manuals, which isn't it's not good for the environment. So
well, it's paper, it's fine, it'll
it's
degrade
yeah,
over
it
time.
will yeah, sure. That's true, but still, you should have kept it. So we could have it now for $5.
That would be the dream.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna take another quick break here. When we come back, we'll give you more thoughts rather of Swamp Thing, personal thoughts. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you like that banger of a song. They all sound the same.
Yeah.
They're all bad. I'll start with my thoughts first. So this game actually made me physically sick. No joke at all. The game's performance is really bad. The game is already kind of slow and laggy just with Swamp Thing on the screen only. Um, and as soon as you start shooting your projectiles or you have a couple of extra sprites on the screen, the game's frame rate goes from like what seems to be 40 down to like 10 or 15, and the screen starts to jitter a lot as well too. I typically don't get motion sick from games at all, but this game, after about an hour and a half, I had such a bad headache playing this game that I had to turn it off and I had to take an Advil and go lay down. It honestly it made my head hurt for how bad the screen lagged and jittered.
Yeah.
Um,
And the
I
pollution from arcade must be just seeping through the cartridge or something and making you
God,
sick.
must be. But I played this game briefly, very very early on in Game Boy Adventure. I would probably say one of the first 100 games in Game Boy Adventure. So back in 2016. Um, I get pretty much how what Mo said. I got through the desert eventually, but I had 0 lives going into the next stage, and I had no idea like why. I knew that there was a timer meter, but I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't know how to select between different weapons. I didn't know what. I was just holding right, basically getting through the game. And I literally just gave up on it. I was like, whatever. I'll return to this game at a later date. And well, here's the later date. So then Mo had a revelation in Discord. And I was like, I found out how to play Swamp Thing, and then watched him play it for portable pleasure, and you spent what, the first like 5 or 10 minutes of the stream talking about how to actually play Swamp Thing. Basically gave a tutorial on like what each button does, basically, and then you went through it and beat it in like 20 some odd minutes,
Something
half hour.
like that.
But I still couldn't finish the game. If the game had continues, I could probably finish it. But the game doesn't have continues, and the game makes me sick. So, at some other later date, I'll pick it back up and finish it, but not anytime soon. But honestly, like with its performance flaws, if the game, I think what kills the game the most is the environmental meter. I think that if they either took away the environment meter or made the environment meter like an actual like level timer displayed as a bar like that in Mario or something, I actually think the game would have been not amazing, but I think it would have been a lot more enjoyable to play. It still would have been hard in certain aspects of it, but I think that the fact that they put this, I feel like it was just too complex for a Game Boy game. The fact that you have to not only worry about your health, but you have to worry about this environment meter, and the only way to worry about the environment meter is to detox, wildlife, and then clean up garbage with this crazy combination of recycling power that you have to use, and it goes down over time. So if you get to a boss screen or the maze, and you've used up all the garbage cleanup that you could, and there's no more garbage to clean up, there's no more enemies to kill, the environment meter just drains and you're just gonna die. Like there's just too much complexity to the game for it to be, I think, a good Game Boy game. I think if they were to change the environment meter by either taking it out or making the environment meter tick down that of like a level timer similar to Mario or whatever other game that you want to compare that to, I honestly think the game would have been halfway as decent, regardless of the performance flaws that it had.
Right. Yeah. That could make it a little bit better for sure. I think what another problem with the game is that it has huge sprites. Like a lot of Game Boy games do that because they just like to quote unquote port from an NES, like from a TV screen to a smaller screen. So there's not that much of a, like, you can't see that much what's going ahead of you. Um, which makes it a little bit harder than it should be as well, and harder to move around certain things. Especially the platforming section in the pyramid is really hard
Oh,
because you can't actually see what's in front of you. So
well,
yeah, making
I
those
think what
smaller would have helped.
I think what makes the platforming section hard in the pyramid is that Swamp Thing jumps like he's on the moon. So like he can literally jump like 20 feet in the air, and the blocks above you can't see. So when you make that jump, you just bonk against the block and fall straight back down to the bottom. So that's another problem too. Is the controls are actually really really floaty when you're jumping.
Absolutely. Yeah, it has a lot of flaws for sure. That could have been quote unquote easily fixed, but yeah, what you can, what are you gonna do about it? The game has come out what? It's 2020 now, so we're 28 years ago. Wow, that's old.
A little bit ago.
You're old. Yeah.
28 years ago, I would have been 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, would I have been
I
4?
would have been 5.
Yeah, I've been 4 or 5. You and I are the same age,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Yeah, like my thoughts and history with it, like I said before, like the entire research thing just to figure out how to actually play this. I even contacted Jeremy Parrish from Retronauts because he was doing Game Boy World, uh, Game Boy Works, as it's called now, hoping that he maybe had picked up a manual somewhere when trying to get his Game Boy games going, but I guess he didn't. But yeah, once I figured it out, like I was playing it offline, of course, during my research, and then it took me 2 tries to actually beat it. So I went online to stream it, yeah, it took me just one go, and I got through it. It's not a long game or anything like that. It's only
No, it's a short
yeah
game.
20 minutes, give or take. Um, what did happen back then was one day later a speed run got submitted for this game. Um, which I'm not sure if it was due to me putting the video online of how to actually play this, because the speedrun video was pretty much the same thing I did, but without going out of my his or her way to get like extra lives and things like that. So besides that, it was pretty much the same that I was doing. But yeah, weirdly enough, because I just saw it that you put in the notes that there's nothing on speedrun.com.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't
I don't know
find
if
it
they took down
anymore.
the run
Yeah, I can't
at
find
all.
it anymore.
I do remember a scene on the World Record Bot that
Yeah.
someone submitted a someone submitted Swamp Thing Game Boy,
Yeah.
and it was some sort of like 20 some minute time. But so I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go grab that quick for the small speedrun section that we typically have
Hmm.
here, and it's just not there
No,
anymore.
it's
So
gone. Like I checked YouTube as well, I can't find it anymore. So I don't know. Maybe it was a task that got submitted as an actual speed run or something. It didn't look like it at all. So I have no idea what happened. Maybe they just removed the video or I don't know. So free world records, y'all. Get on it. Uh, so yeah, if you want that. Yeah, it's weird that it's gone, but yeah, I remember it because it was literally the day after I put
yeah,
my video out on YouTube, and I was like, huh, that's kind of odd. Either somebody actually did know how to play this game, or they just took my video as a starting point. So yeah, um, but yeah, like this game is definitely not good. Like I don't like it at all. It wasn't fun to play. Like I said, it was more fun figuring out how to play it than to actually do so. Um, I would say play it for a little bit if you do enjoy it. Like we said, it's a 20-minute game, so you can get through it pretty easily. As long as you pick up enough extra lives throughout the stages, which are pretty easy to find anyway. So
or pop it a Game Genie.
or do that, yeah. If you really want to see that incredible ending for your satisfaction.
Congratulations! Get out of here, dumb ending. Do we want to take another break quick, or do we want to just dive right into the old endo?
Yeah,
yawn here?
we can pretty much wrap it up. Like this wasn't that long of a section like usual because there's just not that much to say.
Yeah.
It's just not a lot of people know that this game exists, so it's nice to be able to talk about it and like I have a real history with it, trying to figure it out. So it's kind of fun to talk about that, but the game itself, yeah, that's it's not good, not good.
Cool. Well, we're gonna dive into some community events coming up here. So, I'm gonna break this up into groups or people putting out events because RGL literally just spit out all of their marathon
Yeah.
dates. So we'll start with RGL, Retro Gaming Live TV. Really good friends with them. So we have Discathlon. Oh, Discathlon's already going to be over by the time this episode comes out. But that's a Disney marathon. We have RGL Love, which I don't know if this episode will be out when that's around. But RGL Love is a week-long marathon of basically romancy, lovey type games. So like think of like Zelda, like Zelda saves Link saves Zelda, Mario saves Peach, things like that. Then we have
Swamp Thing saves the environment. Like,
Swamp Thing saves my headache. Then we have the Tiny 10 Remix 3, March 14th. The list hasn't been revealed yet that I know of.
yeah, I haven't I haven't heard anything from it either. Like usually, Enemy gives me the heads up because I usually participate in it just so I, for once, can actually play the games instead of commenting on them. But I think this year I will comment because usually Enemy is doing it all by himself, and it's
No, I help him.
You do for the commentating?
Yes.
Huh? I thought he did it.
I did it last year.
Really? I thought he
Wow,
was
you
completely
believe this
alone
guy?
last year.
Just
Weird.
well, yeah, he does it all alone. Here's Belfic on the side,
That's
just
weird.
calling the shots. Oh man,
Must be 2
2
years ago.
He might have been alone in the
Yeah,
first one
probably,
because
yeah.
you and I both raced in the first one because we were in voice chat making memes about it.
Right. That's probably it.
And then the second one I commentated because I didn't like the game list.
Right. Okay.
So again, we'll see how this game list comes out. If it's something that attracts me, I may participate. If not, I'll see if anybody needs a commentator.
Yeah, I know there's gonna be like always one game on that list that I absolutely do not want to play. So,
Yeah.
like the first time it was Avenging Spirit with oh man, that game pissed me off so bad.
I was so mad when I played Avenging Spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, it was brutal.
Yeah, my entire
wind
run
blows.
was completely ruined by the second game by then. Like it took me like half an hour.
And then we got Retrothon, which is probably one of my favorite marathons of the year. April 19th to April 26th. It's a week-long marathon of nothing but retro games. So as far back as you can capture up until I think they do GameCube or Xbox now. I can't remember where their cutoff is. Submissions for this closed at the end of February, so make sure to get your submissions in for Retrothon. Turbo 10, so with the release of the Turbo Graphics on March 11th, the Turbo Graphics 16 Mini, RGL is putting on a Turbo Graphics marathon of 10 Turbo Graphics games on May 2nd. So if you're interested in the Turbo Graphics or interested in running in that, you got a few months left for that to be available. And then they have an in-person marathon event for a weekend. It's called NLSS Spring. That'll be May 16th to May 17th. So if you're on the East Coast, I think around the Maryland area, I believe it is, definitely keep your eye out for that. Whew, thank you, RGL. All right. Moving forward here, we have one of my good friends from Midwest Speed Fest. They're putting on something called the Midwinter Speed Sprinter 2020, which is happening on March 6th. Submissions will be closed by the time this episode comes out, so just stay tuned for the weekend-long marathon that Midwest Speed Fest will put on in March. They'll also be putting on another weekend-long marathon sometime in the fall, like around August, September timeframe. So keep an eye on that. And then there's Pixels for Peace. I don't know exactly when that's happening. I just happened to come across it on Twitter. I want to say either it's happening now-ish or in a week. I don't know. But that's a thing, too. Keep an eye out on that if it's not out already. Yeah. Welcome to marathon season.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And I am back. I got some connection issues there, so I have no idea what you talked about at all. Oh, that's great. Hope you didn't ask me any questions because I could.
I asked you like 14 different
Yeah,
questions and you
probably,
just didn't
yeah.
respond back. So
Yeah, I was hearing you in bursts, and I was like, okay, this is probably my internet failing for a moment there. So, whatever. I'm sure it's fine.
Listener questions. Well, we got a couple sweet animated gifs that I pasted in.
Yeah, but besides that,
in
we
the
do
Discord.
not have any listener questions because nobody
We do
probably even
not.
knows the existence of this game.
We do not have any listener questions, but I did put a sweet gif of Swamp Thing from the movie with thumbs up with a fire in the background, so he's polluting the world some way or another. And another sweet gif of him using his finger, turning it into a vine whip, and wrapping up Batman. So,
Yeah, Batman, not Batman. I have no idea what that guy is called.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember their character names. Batman. I don't know.
It is.
So yeah. With that, if any of you, all of you, have thoughts, suggestions, feedback for the podcast, myself, Moelle, even Legs, we all always want to hear it. Good, bad, the ugly, whichever. We're always looking to improve the podcast one way or another, whether it be content, audio, more dad jokes from Mo, whichever it may come in the form of. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll drop another joke.
nice.
What do you call a mathematical song that could save the environment?
What?
An algorithm.
Oh God. I still like the coal one the most.
Oh yeah, I did not really mention that one, but yeah. Yeah, like I'll leave you with this thought, everybody. If coal is so bad for the environment, why don't we just burn it all?
That was I don't know why. That was just my favorite one that you told me earlier before the episode.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So yeah, if you want more of those things, be sure to let us know.
So yeah, with that, you can find me at Belthic Gaming on Twitch and Twitter, and you can type in Belthic Gaming on YouTube search, and you can find me that way. Where can I find you, Mo?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, all /Moelle, which is spelled Moelleuh. Especially if you like the puns and things, make sure to check out my stream because I keep dropping them like they're hot, really. So.
Drops it like it's hot. It's like that song.
Oh, I don't know anything about a song. I just drop things when they're hot, to be honest.
From Snoop Dogg. What? Oh, you should listen to "Drop It Like It's Hot" from Snoop Dogg.
Of course, I know that.
Heck yeah, early 2000s, I believe it came out. You can also find our fantastic producer SprintingLegs at SprintingLegs on Twitch, Legs on YouTube, and Legs in Discord. And I believe her website is SprintingLegs.com.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So definitely go give it a check out. She has some personal projects on there, some cool things, honestly, to read through and play around with for sure. We also have a Patreon, so if you feel like subscribing to us on a per month basis, if you enjoyed our content, you can be a patron, which will give you a special role into Discord and special access to certain behind the scene things of the podcast.
Yeah.
And at, was it $20 a month, we'll be doing live streams of the podcast episodes.
Yeah.
So,
like one of the extra things that you can access through the Discord, I believe, if you are a Patreon, is like a blooper reel from the
Yep.
first year or something. So yeah, that's a fun thing to check out because we say a lot of silly things in between. When we do the live episodes, you can actually you can
Hear them,
you can
yeah.
hear them, but otherwise it's it's a fun time. And she just sometimes mixes things together that make absolutely no sense, but it's pretty
Out
funny.
of context
Yeah,
is
it's
comical.
great. Yeah.
Almost like the outro in My Light from Hari Manada.
Yeah, that
It's
one I
like
have no idea what's
game,
happening.
Dracula, and I was like, I didn't. I was like, what? I'm like, did I say this during the episode? She's like, no, it's just from another outro that I took. I'm like, oh, alright.
Yeah, I was kind of confused as well when I listened to it earlier.
Don't even remember saying it, but yeah, we also have a
Yeah.
PayPal as well too. So if you don't want to subscribe per month and just want to give us a one-timey donation type deal, we definitely have that. We don't have a role for it set up right now, but if you do, DM Belthic Gaming, and I will make you a PayPal role because I want to thank you in some other fashion than just thanking you over a podcast.
Yeah, or you can
Or
put it in
DM.
the note for. I think you can put a note on PayPal as well if you.
Oh, can you? Okay.
Yeah, I
I
actually
don't
don't
know.
know. Like I know you can do it when you send money to someone, and maybe not through a PayPal. That's me. Like I don't know, but yeah,
Oh, yeah,
if you can, you
I
can
have
just do it through
no
there
idea.
as well.
Yeah, I have no idea how
Yeah.
that works. But also, all this information is really hard to understand when a monotone person is speaking it to you. You can go to gbrunners.com/TIGB and you can find literally all of this information at your fingertips via mobile and desktop devices.
So yeah, a little bit more future wise, and I'm just gonna call these people out because then they are gonna have to. Uh, but when it comes to future episodes, we do want to have more guests on the podcast for sure because we only had Gran and Hero on it for
Yeah.
twice, but it is our goal to have like a bunch more people on there. Hopefully someday, like even game developers and things like that, or people who actually worked on some of these Game Boy games. We are getting a little better in reaching out to them, so that's pretty cool. But we do want some other of our streamer friends, of course, to join us. Um, One thing that is for certain, maybe we've talked about this before on the podcast, we want to do a collaboration with Man Over Mars, like the person who made our logo and who did the pixelated audio. Is that the podcast? I think. Wait,
I believe
I think
so. Question
yeah,
mark.
in
It's
like
been a while.
I'll look it up real quickly, but yeah, they did a podcast for quite a long time. Yeah, wait, it's just pixelated. Wait, now I can't find it. Why? What is happening here? But they did a podcast about yeah, pixelated audio. It is. It's still going, but Man Over Mars stopped being the co-host, which is a video game music and retro game podcast, and they have a lot of interviews with the composers and things like that, which is really awesome. I think they had Gonzalez on it as well, who did like the Smurfs games, Unlucky Luke, and things like that. Some of the best Game Boy music out there. So we want him to be on the podcast for the Turtles games,
Turtles.
um,
Yeah.
which we are going to split into 3 episodes because we do have a lot of things to say about each game actually. But it's
I have
nice.
a lot to say about the
Yeah, but
first
it's
one.
nice to have somebody who knows more about music because we are not really music people. Like we can barely find
I
words.
like a good Game Boy
Yeah,
song, but like I'm not gonna sit there and just head bob to it for hours. Like, that's a cool jam, and just keep playing the
yeah.
game.
But Man Over Mars definitely can talk a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes, and maybe even reach out to the people who made it. Although it was his co-host that was the Japanese speaking one, so maybe that will be a problem. But he also loves the soundtracks of the Turtles, so that is something I kind of want to dive
Yeah.
into with him for sure. I also want in the future, and I know you listen to this podcast, Let Mackie, but probably not to this episode because you're going through them from start to finish. But I do want Let Mackie
Oof.
on. If you do not know who that is, you might recognize him actually from the GDQs. He's there a lot. He's one of the spokespersons. Is spoke people? Is spoke people the
Host?
spoke? No. I mean like
Spokesman?
yeah. But what's the multiple? Whatever. He,
Spoke eye?
yeah, whatever. It doesn't really matter. He's one of those people that really want to push the TurboGrafx 16 console a little
Hell
bit bigger
yeah.
into the picture, together with Enemy and things like that, which it deserves, and which is gonna be cool. Maybe you mentioned it while I was out of here for a moment, but they are gonna do like
The
the
Turbo
Turbo
10.
10. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's something he knows a lot about, and one of the the mascot of the TurboGrafx 16 is of course Bonk, and we have Bonk's Adventure and Bonk's Revenge on Game Boy. Um,
Unfortunate.
well, I like it. I've only played Adventure so far, but yeah, he knows those games as well. So I do want him to be on as a guest for sure. So we can talk about those games. And I also want our good friend Enemy on this, but I have no idea for what. So Enemy, we'll talk about this. And now you three people are gonna have to come because I said it. So
Yeah, you get called
yeah,
out.
take that.
Haha. All right. Well, on that note, so let's see here. How do I want to do this? It's one mean piece of rolling steel against a horde of enemies. And oh boy, hold on. Reset. How is that word? Of the enemy's finest? Oh, that says it doesn't make sense. Oh, okay, whatever. Whatever. We're gonna go with it. It's one mean piece of rolling steel against a horde of the enemy's finest. Come back again when we talk about Cosmo Tank.
That's gonna be a stellar episode. Alright.
There is a Captain Planet game for the Game Boy, right? I'm not crazy.
No,
There isn't?
I don't think so.
What?
Pretty sure there's not.
Oh my, how is there not a Captain Planet Game Boy game?
Yeah, there is not. Oh, no, wait, no, that's Captain Tsubasa. That's something else. That's a soccer game. No, only NES,
What?
Amiga, and Atari.
Oh
and Genesis,
man,
apparently.
I feel like that's a lost opportunity there.
Well, we got Swamp Thing, so